Hey, what is up guys, Seth here back again with another big news video. Of course this is about link summoning, this is why you've clicked the link, but this isn't about explaining link summoning. I'm not going to do that on this video, that's not the point of this video. What I am going to do is explain solutions that don't involve link summoning, looking at the extra deck. Because that's the reason that everyone's having problems with this game at the moment. Everyone's retaliating to Konami saying, this isn't what we want, this is not how the game, you do not make so many extra deck cards and then just take them all away instantly and then say, this is how you're going to get them out. It's not about link summoning as a bad mechanic, it's just that link summoning to restrict the extra deck is a bad business idea. It's bad for business, it will lower the market prices, it will make players alienated from the game. Older players will look at this game and think it's too complicated. Newer players will say that, well, since I can't summon the monsters that I want to summon without running this particular type of monster, I don't want to play this game. I have to run very many jank techs like Dandelion or Venus or name any other monster that contribute for free, basically. But for the gist, for those that don't know, link summoning basically works like a contact fusion. It works like a contact fusion where you just take a few monsters, get them off the field, use them for tributes, or send them to the grave or to face up to the extra deck as pendulums, and then you summon a chain link, a link summon a link monster. Depending on the link amount, you'll get a certain amount of zones that are based off of that. So Decode Talker, the link 3 link summon monster, has 3 zones. 2 of them in your spots and 1 of them is in your opponent's. That'll open up the extra deck for your opponent, and it will open up the extra deck for you on those 2 zones. That's how I see it. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much how it works. And the good thing about link summoning is that it doesn't have to just be beneficial effects. It could be negative effects. So your own monsters could start losing attack. They could lose 500 attack for you summoning for the extra deck, or your opponent can lose 500 attack from summoning from his extra deck. As I said, it's not a bad mechanic. It's actually pretty much how I envisioned it to be. It's exactly like Oathsworn, an Oath summon. I pretty much had this idea that the next summon would either be some kind of dark synchro thing, like we saw in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, or it would be some kind of Oath summon, where 2 monsters link together, or 2 monsters create some kind of bond between each other. Kind of like a union monster, but not in the spell and trap card zone. These 2 monsters would be linked infinitely, until they're removed from the field, obviously, and that wouldn't be targetable by MST or anything like that, and they would gain beneficial effects. I didn't think that they would create an entirely new zone for this, but that's a different story. Now, what I'm saying is, this is not a bad mechanic, but the extra deck thing has to go. OCG don't like it, TCG really don't like it, and it's just going to promote stun lock decks. It's just going to be all about stun lock decks, ritual summons, and you guys know it, it's going to be Infernoid format with Light Sworns, and that's just how it's going to be. So here are some solutions. I'm really just going to highlight the solutions to this. The main solutions is just a ban list that has some teeth. A ban list that hits major cards that are problem cards, because Konami has sped up the game so much, they've accelerated the game, and then they've stripped it right away. They stripped it all away, but they created this acceleration. It was them creating these power creep cards and engines that just accelerated the game to a point where you run these decks or you lose, or you make the game much faster and accelerate it beyond that, or you create a deck that completely dodges every single logical form of Yu-Gi-Oh that there is at the moment. Kind of like Hope for Escape or something, but much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not negatable, not lockout, not unplayable, basically. But yeah, you can't have this. You just can't. So I've listed quite a few solutions to this. A ban list with teeth. And this is going to be very hurtful to some players. This is going to seem like I'm being very biased. But at the same time, if you stick throughout the list, if you stick to everything that I'm about to say, you'll understand that I'm hitting every single card. This is not discriminatory. This is just going to hit the cards that are very much problem cards. So, to start it off, we're going to start with the kaijus. The kaijus are a major problem. The kaijus get rid of cards, yes, before anybody clicks away and starts commenting, what are you talking about? I need this to get rid of. Forget that for a moment. Of course I'm going to be banning the things that are a problem. But the kaijus are a serious, serious problem. Freely tributing your opponent's monsters is not fair. Even if you do give them a 2200 attack card in response, you then summon a 3300 attack card, bounce the 2200 attack card and use it for another turn. This is not a fair card. These kaijus are not fair in whatsoever. You just ban them straight out. You apologize. Konami just sends out an apology to every single player and says, this was not how we wanted the game to be. We made a mistake. This was not what the players wanted, and we really just want to make sure that players understand that we wanted things to be accelerated so that we could make sales and provide a more entertaining game, but we've sped it up too much, and now we're trying to come to a solution that could benefit all players. You send out an apology like that, Konami will instantly get the trust or the appreciation of fans back, but this no communication stuff needs to stop. You have to communicate with your fans. This is why TCG has not given out a ban list yet, because they already got the information from OCG that they were going to implement these changes. They already knew. That's why the ban list is over a month late. There's no point in banning anything now, because the link summoning changes everything, and they didn't know how the player base would react, and it's not good. It's very negative. People don't want this. So Kaiju's gone. Okay, next up, Infernoids. Deviati, get rid of it. Get rid of Deviati. Is pretty much exactly the same as Crystal Wing. So once per turn, monster negation, and it pops every single spell and trap card. And it's pretty free with Lawn Mowing. This is a way to keep Lawn Mowing in the game, but get rid of Deviati because the card is busted with Decatron and all that. It does too much, has too much attack, has too much defense, and it's pretty free in cost when it comes to a 60 card deck. And it's pretty free in cost when it comes to how the Infernoid Madness comes about and all of those cards. So get rid of it, that card gone, and leave every other card. That's fine. Vanity's Fiend. Vanity's Fiend either goes to 1 or just banned. Like, literally, every single deck has run this card. Every single deck has sided this card just to make sure that their opponent would be locked out as soon as they set up a board. That needs to stop. That has to stop. Vanity's Emptiness is a fine card because it promotes people using MSTs or just ways to remove monsters from the field and put them to the graveyard. Maybe errata so that it also includes face-up extra decks so that pendulums can't just keep abusing Vanity's Emptiness. But Vanity's Fiend has to go. It just can't exist. It's not fair, especially in Monarchs. Kirin, Magispector Unicorn Kirin. Kirin has to be banned. Everybody knows it. That's fairly obvious. The card is too good in every single Pendulum deck. It is always used in Pendulum decks. It is pretty much a bounce 1, compulse, and it also bounces your own card, and it's not targetable, can't be destroyed. This card has to be kaiju'd, or it's not doing anything, like it's not able to be removed. Either that or you're creature swapping it, but he's going to bounce it anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Point is, ban this card, it was poorly designed. Fairy Tale Snow, again, Light Sworns are just so... Light Sworns and lawn mowing and all that, they don't need a Book of the Moon on top of the being able to special summon as many as these in a turn as they like, and they can do it during either player's turn. It's not once per turn, it doesn't have a once per turn clause, it doesn't have a use clause, and it doesn't have an activate once per turn clause, so this card needs banned, or put to 1. Either put it to 1 so that it's very randomised that you're going to get it, or you ban it, and I would rather see it either banned or go at 1 than at 3, definitely, absolutely. Atlantean Dragoons. If if Link summoning comes to pass, and it happens, Mermails will be the dominant deck aside from True King Dinos. The True Dino, the Dino Kings, whatever you want to call them, those will probably get hit as soon as the new Banlist comes out, because, you know, sorry, not Banlist, the new format comes out, because Dino Kings will just annihilate everything. That leaves you with Mermails, and Mermails still have an extremely strong one-turn kill. The Atlantean Prince sends an Atlantean Dragoons to the grave. Even if you negate it, that Atlantean Dragoon still activates this effect, and then he adds another Atlantean Dragoons if it's not negated. That's busted. You shouldn't have Atlantean Dragoons searching out a monster that allows you to then add certain other cards. Like, the amount of times where a monster comes back, and the other thing is Atlantean Dragoons also works with Norden and stuff like that, XYZ detaches and things. That has to be just stopped, because detaching for an effect is just, it's poorly designed. If you're still gaining pluses from that, it's badly designed. So, of course, hit that card, hit Dragoons, get rid of it, it's done. You know, it should only ever be a once per turn, it should only ever happen once per turn, it shouldn't be adding 3 cards in a turn. It shouldn't be, you know, send one, send the Dragoons, add a bunch, and then if you did draw another Dragoons, you can discard that and throw away for Megalo. It shouldn't be like that. Unizombie. Unizombie is a problem card. The reason it's a problem card is Light Sworns again. We're coming back to Light Sworn engine because it is the most abusable engine, but Unizombie is just, with Shira Nui, however you say it, I've butchered it, but I don't care. Solitaire, the zombie Solitaire, being able to special summon this card from the deck is broke. You can't have that. You just can't. You can't keep having cards like that. It's not good for the game. And to be honest, the little clause that says zombie monster, no monster can attack, it says zombie monsters, that's nothing to a typical zombie player. A zombie player will look at that and go, well, I get free Omega, I don't really care, I get free Beals, I get free, you know, Synchro 8s, I do not care. And that's the reality. Unizombie has to be limited. Probably goes to 1 and that's fine. You know, it can be revived from Mizuki, it can be special summoned back from the Banish Zone if it wants to be. You know, there are cards to enable this Unizombie to be brought back. You just have to run them. So, Unizombie till 1. Terror Top, errata this card. It doesn't need to be banned, doesn't need to be limited, it just needs an errata. If you give this card an errata so that it can only be used for synchro summoning, the decks stop using it for XYZ, they stop tributing it, they stop doing the things that are most broken with Speedroid Terror Top and Take Tomberg, or however the hell you say it. Just errata this card, make sure that it can only be used for synchro summoning. Again, this is one of the problem cards that has accelerated the game. It's an engine that is completely broken. So address it, get rid of it, done. Level Eater. Now the reason that I've got Level Eater, this is more of an honourable mention, is that you guys don't like Dark Synchro, right? That's the problem that you're having. You guys are looking at Dark Synchro and you're going, well, link summoning wouldn't be, link summoning's not that bad. I'd rather deal with link summoning than Level Eater, Dark Synchro, spamming that stuff all around. Well, here's the deal. Level Eater. If you ban Level Eater, that's it. The decks don't do that anymore. So you either ban it and have fun without the Dark Synchro cards, or you leave it as it is and just try and deal with these Quasar decks that do mass special summons. It's not like you don't have Max C, you have Ghost Ogre, you have cards that can out Quasars on turn 1. Quasar isn't that strong, and it will be near impossible to summon if link summoning comes about. For the spell cards, and we will come to extra deck monsters, of course. System down, banned. System down to 1, System down limited. Because I don't think it's fair that machine decks like Crystons, like ABCs, get absolutely told out of a game because you can pay 1,000 life points and then banish every single machine type your opponent controls are in the graveyard. It's not fair, it just doesn't seem right. It's really not all too, healthy, balanced, whatever you want to say. It's all bad for the game, so put it to 1 and then make people run cards like DD Crow and cards that every other deck uses, instead of just, I'd rather see a Saki 1 system down than 3 and expect it. Expect the system down because you're running 3 of them in your side deck. That's the way I see it. Tenacity of the Monarchs. The reason I would say put this to 1 is it lowers the ability for Monarchs to create that first turn field that just locks you out of your extra deck and just sets up all of their plays. I don't like Tenacity of the Monarchs because it searches out many other cards, and usually it's because of the Monarch card that banishes itself, the Graceful Charity Monarch, whatever one it is, I do forget. The Tenacity of the Monarchs can be then all 3 of those cards that it can search. I would rather have this at 1 so that when you do banish the Graceful Charity Monarch spell, you can only give this as 1 option so that it doesn't just increase consistency. Next spell card is Card of Demise. Card of Demise is a problem, a serious problem. Barrier statues have to be addressed. Barrier statues completely lock anybody out of the game. It just locks people out of the game so bad, and you're left with the feeling like you can't really do anything because you've got these Thunder King Ryos and you've got this 5 back row that is not feared because there's no Heavy Storm in TCG. There's no Harpy's Feather Duster, so Card of Demise has to be banned. Tellarknights are working like Infernity. They're setting 5 with 1 Tellarknight monster in the field and passing. That isn't right. That's not Tellarknights. That's not how Tellarknights should really work. Realistically, Tellarknights should be special summoning. They should be using many more monsters. They shouldn't be being like, okay, well, I'm going to draw 2. If I draw any monsters, they're going to the grave, and then I can special summon them back with the Call of the Haunted I've set face down, which I drew from my Card of Demise. It's all beneficial for me. And also, I've got a bunch of counter traps, so get wrecked. Like, the Tellarknight Nova is the new Infernity Barrier, basically, because they do work with a no card hand, and they also have a counter trap for themselves. So, get rid of that. Card of Demise, and then Moonmirror Shield. Moonmirror Shield will absolutely annihilate barrier statues. Put it to 1. If you put it to 1, it won't be as consistent. The reason that Moonmirror Shield is a badly designed card is because it always makes your opponent's monster have 100 attack or defense more than you can ever put out. That leaves you to use monster effects, spell or trap effects to get rid of these cards, and that's not healthy. That isn't healthy, especially if it's a Fossil Dyna or a barrier statue. It's really not healthy to have this kind of lock on the field. I don't think that this card should have existed in the first place, but if it is going to exist, it should be at 1. It should be able for me to use one effect or one Cosmic Cyclone and then not have to deal with it for the rest of the game. It just uses too much resources for the typical player to deal with. Union Hangar. The reason that Union Hangar is on this list is because I want to address the fact that, terraforming, it's either Union Hangar or terraforming. The deck shouldn't be as consistent as it is. It shouldn't be as cut and dry as, okay, summon A, summon A, or rather activate Union Hangar, summon the A, bring out the B into the zone, into the spell and trap card zone as a Union monster, and bam, let's make Tsukuyomi as well, and there you go, there's my play. I've got all 3 to the graveyard, I'm going to banish all 3, bring out ABC Dragon. That's so it's just so linear and so crap. It's bad for the game. It's too consistent and not good enough. It's not good enough from Konami to give us a card like this that does everything it needs to. It searches everything, and if you do, bring back all of your Union monsters, you can attach another one when you special summon them back. It's not healthy to just have something so linear. They should have more traps, more spells, things to benefit the deck. Give them more spells and traps to just help them out, rather than being dependent on Union Hangar. Into the traps, Paleozoic Deinonymiscus, is that how you say it? Either way, the one that discards one and banishes a card. That card is just so damn broken at 3. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Paleozoics. If Toad remains, Paleozoic Deinonymiscus has to be put to 1. The Paleozoic deck has methods to bring it back from the grave. It has ways to bring it back from the grave, but Paleozoic is a deck that is unaffected by monsters, special summons monsters that have 1200 attack. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start adding it up, it makes a lot of sense, and you add Wabuku to that so you can't destroy them at battle, and you've got a problem on your hands. You've got a serious problem. And they won't be treated as trap cards when they're summoned back, so you can't MST them. It's so bad. So you have to pretty much remove them as monsters with spell effects or trap effects, and they won't attack. They just won't, and they won't let you do that either. They'll find other ways. So Paleozoic Deinonymiscus, however you say it, that card goes to 1, and just be done with that. Dimensional Barrier to the meat and two veg of the problem with this format. Dimensional Barrier sets people up to just destroy things. You get a setup board, you set Dimensional Barrier, oops, your opponent can't do anything for the turn, and if you did happen to negate a ritual or fusion, well, they just went negative for it. So, Dimensional Barrier to 1 or banned, and personally I would see it go to 1. I think it's a card that has a place, but it has a place in the side deck, not 3 in the main deck and everybody has to main them. With the changes to pendulums, Anti-Spell Fragrance should be banned. It should either go to 1 or be banned, but personally I'd say banned. Pendulums are now very, very weakened. They're nerfed to hell, and it's not just nerfed, it's kind of gutted. They don't have anywhere near the power they used to have. You only get 3 spell trap card zones. That kills Dynamists, it kills Zephyrs, it kills Metal Foes kinda in a way, but they do pop their own pendulum zones so they can set more traps. It kills decks that didn't do anything wrong. Armor Phages, for example. How is Armor Phage going to have pendulum zone monsters to benefit their effect and have the spell and trap cards in the zones to protect their monsters? How's that going to happen? They don't have high enough attack to survive the lockout. It's completely bad. It was completely ill-informed. It was a bad decision, but I feel like it's a necessary decision. It's not so much terrible. I'm not behind it, but at the same time, it's just, what are you gonna do? You know, what can you do with pendulums except that? So I would rather see this than you can't pendulum summon on the first turn. I'd rather see this. But anti-spell fragrance banned, has to be. Next up is Metal Foes combination. If you're gonna hit a card, you should hit this one. The reason that I say that Metal Foes combination should be hit is because you have the spell card Storm. The spell card Storm, if you don't know, destroys as many spell trap cards you control as possible, then destroy as many spell trap cards your opponent controls as possible, up to the number of cards destroyed by this effect. If your opponent doesn't control any spell trap cards, you can still activate Storm and pop all your Metal Foes combinations. This means that with Storm and any amount of Metal Foes pendulum monsters, you can just pop your own scales, set all the Metal Foes combinations, activate Storm, and create one hell of a one-turn kill just by using Storm with combination. Combination, in that sense, should either go 1 or be banned. It's not healthy the way that, you know, you pop a card, you pop Metal Foes combination, and then it adds a Metal Foes monster from your deck to your hand. It's not good. It's really not good. But really, what can you do to Metal Foes except ban a Mithril? You know, what else are you going to do except ban Mithril? But let's go back to this. Solemn Strike to 1. Solemn Strike should never have been released in the first damn place, but if you are going to have it, it's a 1 card. You know, Dimensional Barrier to 1 and Solemn Strike to 1 would be enough to stop stun locks. It would be enough to dissuade people from using counter fairies with Metal Foes. You know, it's enough to stop as many people using as 3 Solemn Strikes as possible, and even using Solemn Strike over Solemn Warning. You know, 1500 LP is not high enough cost. To the extra deck, and these are extra deck monsters that are a problem. You've got Metal Foes Mithril, Mithrilium, whatever you want to say it. This card probably should never been released, to be honest. It's too good. You know, you bounce your own. If you do summon, the combo with the Metal Foes that I was talking about with Metal Foes combination and Storm also allows you to use Metal Foes Mithril with full Metal Foes Fusion, and that's how you one-turn kill. You bounce your own Metal Foes Fusion with one of the 2 combinations that you add back to your deck, and then you put full Metal Foes Fusion into your hand. You swing as many times as possible, and then if you've not killed them by then, you use full Metal Foes Fusion, make Orichalcos, and kill them. You know, it's completely busted. It is completely busted. So, Mithrilium, I hate to say it, but should be banned. Should be banned, and there should be a replacement. You know, make them run Jar Avarice, make them start running traps or spells that recycle Metal Foes, but not Mithrilium. Just get rid of it. Masked Hero Darklaw, oh my god, even this heroes don't stop being meta, they just don't. They don't ever stop being meta, so get rid of Darklaw. It's banned. Ban it. It doesn't need to exist. A searchable macrocosmos is unbalanced for the game. People might hate me for saying it, but Darklaw is not necessary. It's not even fusions anymore. It's just tribute 1 Shadow Mist, and you get a Darklaw. You get a fusion Darklaw, but it's not even fusion in the traditional sense. It should be many fusion monsters created or tributed to create this one fusion monster that has a good effect. That's just how it should be. It should remain that way for fusions. Every other fusion deck works like that. Why doesn't Masked Hero work like that? So get rid of Darklaw and give the game some kind of hope, because even if Link summoning comes out, people are still just going to use hero decks. It's just going to be Darklaw spam. That's the reality. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Everybody is going to expect me to say ban this. What I will say is this deserves an errata. Why does it deserve an errata? If you take 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner synchro monster, you make Crystal Wing. That's not right. If you were to take one tuner and one clear wing synchro dragon, that would be much more balanced and much more beneficial to the game. It should require clear wing synchro dragon because every upgrade dragon has required its previous base form. Look at red dragon archfiends, or red demons dragons, however you want to say it. You've got Stardust Dragon with Shooting Star Dragon. All of those cards, they all required the base form. Crystal Wing is the only example that doesn't require its base form. That isn't right. So errata, change it back to requiring Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, and then players will be forced into making Clear Wing. That will at least stop these weird plays where people are making, you know, one tuner with, like, you know, the Lamia play with Alexander. You know, that will stop that, and that's a start. It's something at least. Omega banned, replaced. I'm saying ban it because everybody knows it's broken. Everybody knows that multiple Omegas are broken. Limiting it is not enough. So therefore, ban it and replace it with a different Omega. Like, replace it with something else. Give Psyframes another level 8 synchro, and you're done. You're sorted. You know, similar effect, but not nearly as broken. Doesn't float as much. Doesn't, you know, start discarding, or rather taking away your opponent's hand so easily. You know, give it an LP cost if you have to. Make it cost a monster. Make it give up your draw phase. Anything but how it is right now. So ban Omega, replace it with something else. Harbinger. Why would I say Harbinger deserves to be banned? People only ever run one, but it's always at the time of a game where it matters the most. So Blue Eyes will use this when they've already set up their field to make it so that the opponent has to draw into a kaiju because Dark Hole's not going to be good enough. So they'll use Harbinger to make sure that any spell activated will be interrupted and disrupted. And that's not really good. That's not really healthy for the game. If you're just using Harbinger to disrupt your opponent, what's the point? You know, and it's used in Yang Zings, for example. Yang Zings really love using this card, and it's used especially well in DDDs. If you use it in DDDs, you use it with Ragnarok and Thomas, or Ragnarok and Ragnarok, or however you want to do it. And you overlay the 2 8s with the Ragnarok, and you make Harbinger with the Omega or Crystal Wing and Siegfried. And therefore you've got 2 negations of spells and traps. Well, 2 spells and 1 trap. And you have a negation of a monster effect. That's the problem that people are having at the moment. So ban it, get rid of it. It's not good for the game. It's just, it shouldn't have been even released. It's just not really that good. It's really not that good for the game. So get rid of it. Cyber Dragon Infinity. People will get salty as hell when I say this, but there's a reason why Quasar players are losing their shit. Quasar players hate the hell out of Konami for bringing out Link Summoning, because Cyber Dragon Infinity still works. Cyber Dragon Infinity will work with 1 extra deck zone. The 1 extra deck zone used for Link Summoning will still make Cyber Dragon Infinity possible, but Quasar will never be possible with just 1 extra deck zone. It won't work. So why is that fair? So Cyber Dragon Infinity has a 101 effect, and it has the Quasar effect. That's not good. That's not good for the game. It's not balanced. Get rid of it. It should not be summoned through Nova. It should be completely unable to be summoned through Nova. Either errata it so that it doesn't have that condition, and make them have their own rank up magic. I don't mind that. That's pretty solid. Give them a rank up magic that somehow works off of their fusions. That would be pretty cool. But don't give them using Cyber Dragon Nova you control. Don't let them have that. Utopia Lightning. This card is just a headache for most players, because rank 4 decks, not only do they have all the ways to just absolutely destroy you, They have Castle, they have Consistency, they have all these rank 4 monsters, 101, stuff like that, and far too many toolboxing, things like that. Rank 4 decks have so much support, but they also have Utopia Lightning. They have access to Utopia Lightning, which is a 5,000 attack. You can't react to me if I go into battle, you know, and that's bull. That is so bad for the game. That's just bad. So get rid of Utopia Lightning. Do us all a favour. You know, it's not good for the game that rank 4s also get access to this, and it can be easily summoned through Norden. You know, Norden plus 1 level 4 equals Utopia Lightning, which can deal with pretty much any, like it can deal with Crystal Wing outright. That's not really that fair when you compare it to Crystal Wing, who is already broken. Behemoth Shark. Behemoth Shark, you've either got the choice, ban Behemoth Shark or ban Toad. Either or. I don't mind Paleozoics being hit with the trap, the Dinomischus, but if you're going to ban Toad, you don't need to ban Dinomischus. So make a decision. Ban Behemoth, kill off the Mermail decks, kill off the Norden plays, kill off the hero Toads, kill them all, or kill off Toad and make sure that Behemoth Shark is untouched. And then Behemoth Shark can be used for other decks that does use rank 3 or lower water XYZ monsters that aren't Toad. The last one, well, the last extra deck monster, and then honourable mentions quickly. Zodiac, Drancia, or Drident, whatever you want to call it. Junishishi, however you want to say it. This deck, Drancia shouldn't exist. Drident shouldn't exist. That card is bad, it's bad for the game. Interrupting your opponent on your opponent's turn with being so easily summoned is just bad. You know, pop 1 for just, like, it's not even XYZ summoning, it's just overlay for 1 monster. And you get 1 XYZ material instead of the 2 that you should have got. And then overlay again and overlay again until you've got your Drancia. Even though it has a once per turn clause, it's so bad for the game. It's just bad that you have to now play around this card on your turn 2 that can pop a monster or pop a face-up card and interrupt your plays while they've gotten all the advantage in the world from their Emerald and their Bullhorn and stuff, and you still have to avoid the Dimensional Barrier. So if you just leave Zodiac's the Bullhorn and the new Zodiac support that's about to come out with the can't be destroyed by battle or card effect thing, that's fine, leave them with that. But don't give them Drancia or Drident. You know, they don't need it. They've got enough rank 4 support, and they've got the Viper as well. They have Viper if they ever do get attacked, and they've got all these monsters that attach themselves through card effect and up the card's attack. Finally, on the honourable mentions, Alistair or however you want to say it, the Eidolon Summoner, Invoker, whatever, this card, this level 4 card, this guy will be a headache, but the reason I'm mentioning him is he isn't really worth banning unless the Eidolons or Invoker cards get more support, in which case he may be worth banning. At this moment in time, I couldn't tell you if he's worth banning because I know how powerful he can be, but at the same time it's just a case of, well, you still have cards like Retaliating Sea if he does become popular. If he does become popular, he can be, you know, there's still banished cards, there's still Macrocosmos, there's still different dimension grounds, stuff like that. There are cards that deal with him. It's just, you know, I'm not sure where to put him in a ban list. I just know that he's worth mentioning, so I'll mention him. Windwitch Snowbell, again, worth mentioning, but if you ban Crystal Wing, Snowbell doesn't need banned. But if you don't ban Crystal Wing, if you don't errata Crystal Wing, then Snowbell needs to be hit. It just absolutely needs to be hit. If the only thing that Wind Witches are doing is making Clear Wing Synchro Dragon and then Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. That's fine, but if they're making the Wind Witch Synchro and then into the Crystal Wing, that's not really helpful. Like, that's just not good. That's not good for the game, I don't think. So change it up, sort that out. VFD, True King VFD, this card is going to be ungodly. It's just going to be broken, so that has to be dealt with. Get rid of that card. Be done with it. It's bad. It's bad for the game. The card is Shockmaster for Monster Effect. It's just dumb, and it's not just on the field, it is everywhere. So this card shouldn't even exist, but since it does exist, I have to come back to basically ban it or deal with the consequences, because people are just going to keep running True King VFD until the cows come home. Until you ban it, it's not going to be undone. So that's pretty much the ban list, guys. I know that was long. I know that if you did make it this long, more power to you, but like, I'm just trying to get across that every single card that I've mentioned on this list was an undiscriminatory way to stop link summoning. Just stop it. Like, there's no need for it to exist. It doesn't need to happen if you just give a ban list that has some teeth. That's all it needs. So get rid of these cards and we won't need link summoning to destroy every extra deck monster that ever existed. But that's really all I can give you guys. That's really all I'm going to say on link summoning. I may quit. I don't know. I may completely quit the game. I really don't know, but that's going to be my decision. That's going to be your guys' decisions. But at the end of the day, TCG can't break from OCG when it comes to the rules of the game, but the ARG circuit might. The Yu-Gi-Oh community might just go, well, we don't want this. What we're going to do is we're going to have the link zone exactly as you said it. We're going to keep it exactly as it is. Link summoning is going to stay the same, but the extra decks stuff where you're not allowing us to use it, that's gone. Like, we're not dealing with that. Like, that's just not happening. We want our extra deck, we want to use our extra deck, and we'll link monsters to that extra deck, and that's fine. So that's it from me. If you guys did like the video and you managed to last this long, please comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think on this subject, and I'll catch you guys next time. Rip Yu-Gi-Oh!